Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks for joining us for tonight's program, History and Highballs, How Hip Hop Took Shape in North Carolina and Changed Everything. My name is Stacy, and I handle adult education here at the North Carolina Museum of History. So whenever you sign up to join us for one of these History and Highballs programs, you and I get to virtually hang out during this evening and learn about some incredible places and people and what makes our state so extraordinary. There will be a Q&A opportunity at the end of tonight's program. We ask that you please just type your questions that you have for our speaker into the bottom and into the chat function located at the bottom center of your screen. Once our speaker has finished their talk, our adult programs intern Allie will ask them as many of your questions as time allows. So it's my honor to introduce and welcome our speaker for this evening, Damon Doc Johnson. Born and raised amidst the vibrant rhythms of Cleveland, Ohio, Doc's journey through life has been a symphony of musical exploration and creativity. From the bustling streets of Cleveland to the sun-kissed vibes of California, the serene landscapes of Maine, and the rhythmic energy of Mexico, each place etched its own melody into Doc's soul. Doc's love affair with music began at the tender age of 13 when he received his first set of turntables. These early beats became the soundtrack of his adolescence, keeping him grounded and away from the pitfalls that often lure young minds. As sports and music became his dual passions, Doc discovered a powerful harmony that would shape his future. During his college years, Doc delved into the realm of music production and engineering. It was here that he not only honed his technical skills, but also cultivated a deep understanding of the artistry behind the beats. Inspired by the rich tapestry of his experiences, Doc founded a music group, a crucible of creativity where he curated shows, developed artists, and mastered the art of marketing. Seeking new horizons, Doc migrated to North Carolina, drawn by the magnetic allure of Southern music. Here, he embarked on a transformative journey at WRSV, a radio station that would become the stage for his voice. Starting as an intern, Doc's talent and dedication swiftly propelled him to the coveted role of on-air host and eventually the esteemed position of music director. Doc's vision extends beyond the studio and into the heart of hip-hop culture that nurtured and now sustains him. He aspires to be a pillar, contributing not only through beats, but also by fostering community, educating on the foundations of hip hop, and building enduring relationships. For Doc, the journey is both a celebration and an education, a testament to the power of music to shape lives and communities. As the maestro of beats and culture, Doc orchestrates a legacy that echoes far beyond the airways. Doc, I'm going to turn things over to you. Welcome. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Well, thank you so very much, Stacy. I do appreciate you 100%. Ladies and gentlemen, just joining us. Like she said, we are on the run with History and Highballs. First and foremost, my name is Damon Johnson, but I go by Doc. That's spelled D-O-C. Like I always say, if you have any trouble remembering that, just say, "What's up, Doc?" Indeed, that's a great way to remember it, right? Nice and easy, right? But ladies and gentlemen, this is my first time doing this virtually, so please bear with me, okay? We've talked about history of hip hop from Duke to the Museum of History this past January, and now they reached out for me to do this virtually. So we're going to go ahead and walk through this one together, okay? We'll let you know a little bit about me first and foremost before we get into how hip hop took shape in North Carolina as we still celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop. My name is, like I said, Damon Doc Johnson. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio originally, but by the graces of God, I was able to go ahead and spread my wings and fly down here to the great state of North Carolina, where I just fell in love with everything from the culture to the landscape to the people to the whole environment as a whole. So, ladies and gents, it kind of led me to kind of pulling this whole thing back full circle to my love for hip hop, it bringing me down here and to now being at the radio station, which I personally never would have in a million years thought that I'd get to. So right now we're in Choice FM Studios, which is right in Raleigh, North Carolina. They actually started in Rocky Mount back in the 70s, and it was owned by Charles O. Johnson Sr., who passed it down to his son before he untimely passed away very soon or very early in his life. And now we've got a third Charles who's in line. So this is a family-owned business. It's a Black-owned business, and it feels great to be in one of the more cultured radio stations in the great state of North Carolina. So it felt like we just must go ahead and do this presentation here, right? But like I said, producer, DJ, engineer, now I'm the music director here, and maybe, hopefully soon we'll see. Maybe might get into teaching. Who knows? Who knows where this will take me? But folks, let's go ahead and get into it without further ado. First and foremost, thank you very much to the North Carolina Museum of History. Shout out to Stacy, shout out to Amber. They'll be going ahead and running the ones and twos, as I like to say, during this presentation. If you all see on the first setup, you've got how hip hop took shape in North Carolina and changed everything. Shout out to Guy Hill. Oh, the chat, is the chat jump? Okay, they say they can barely hear me. What about now? If I lean in a little bit closer, can we hear me? Give me some thumbs up in the chat, some thumbs up as we go through this before we get started. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Lord Jazz from Lords of the Underground. Yes, indeed, Mr. Funk. Okay, come on now. Do it all. I like that. Okay, so we got some good folks in the chat today. Okay, this is going to be a good one. It's going to be a really good one. Okay, so first and foremost, we'll go ahead and get into what brought me after we go ahead and get to this first slide about myself. Then we'll go ahead and get into it. So let's see. Our third slide, if you can catch up with me, Amber, we're on number 3. We're going to start with a quote from Amiri Baraka, who says that Negro music and Negro life in America were always the result of a reaction to and an adaptation of whatever America Negroes were given or could secure for themselves. If that quote doesn't encompass hip hop as a whole, then I really don't know what else would. If you all can remember, it started off as legit being a current event. It was literally artists who were going through things during the early 70s, going into the 80s, that were just literally putting their current event and their works and what they were seeing and in around their neighborhoods on wax, recording it. And this is exactly what it is. Art reflects life and life reflects art. It's all synonymous. So that's exactly what we're going to take into this presentation here. But moving on to the next slide, we'll talk about the reflection of life. Started, man, goodness, man, in Bronx. So we had urban renewal and the construction of the Cross Bronx Expressway that led to the decay of the South Bronx. Now, displacement of mostly Black and brown residents at the time was definitely on high alert. We also had the introduction of what would be known later on as white flight, and that's the social economic disparities that led to increased crime and poverty rates all throughout New York, but specifically the Bronx. At that time, you also have Black and Latino youth who used the limited resources that they had to create what we know now today as hip hop, celebrating its 50th anniversary still. Now, one great keyword to look up during this time is the Bronx is burning. All right, so go ahead and check that out when you spare time, when you get a chance. My goodness, it definitely led to the birth of hip hop, which happened legitimately on August 11th, 1973. Now I'm going to go ahead and take a quick sip and a cheers. If you all have something poured up, please go ahead and join me. This is History and Highballs after all, and this is a highball glass technically. We'll just say it is for today. Wet the whistle and a cheers to the birth of hip hop. Like we said, August 11th, 1973. A young man by the name of DJ Kool Herc might ring a bell. Through a back-to-school party in the rec room of his apartment building in the Bronx that legitimately turned into wildfire. It spread throughout the whole entire Bronx and eventually the world. But we are now 50 years later, the #1 selling genre in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about y'all, but for me, it's impossible to try to imagine a world today without music, without this culture. I feel like it would just be a completely different world, all right? I think we could definitely agree on that. But I want to go ahead and move on and take a deep breath because, like I said, it's my first time doing it virtually. I feel like I'm speeding, so let's slow this thing down. Shout out to Guy Hill in the chat. I'm from the Bronx, so boogie down. Okay, BX, let's go. Was born the same year. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shout out to Guy. Salute you. So you literally got to grow up with hip hop throughout all of these changes and these different phases that we've seen it go through, man. Man, my goodness, that's definitely a feat for sure, for sure. We appreciate you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're not familiar with hip hop, it started off with 4 pillars. Some would say there's 5 right now, but the original 4, which is what we're going to focus on today, are the DJ, myself, the MC, also myself, breaking, couldn't do it if I tried, which is breakdancing. And we also have graffiti or bombing or tagging or whatever you want to call it. Shout out to all of the taggers out there. That culture is still very well alive, and I love to see it to this day. Specifically, Lord Fly. right here in North Carolina. Great when it comes to graffiti. Also, DJ Double Nice is another bomber as well. But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to kind of mosey on through each one of these pillars and see how North Carolina as a whole affected hip hop, and we'll let you know how this genre would not be the same if it wasn't for this great state of North Carolina. Starting with, some would say, the most important factor. I'm not holding any biases or any favors or anything like that, or favorites rather, but the DJ. Yes, indeed, the disc jockey. Let's see. We'll start off with the importance of the DJ when it comes to about three important topics, which is one, selecting and mixing that music, reading the crowd, knowing how to curate the selection of different songs, knowing which song to play after the next. I'll share one specific story. When I was just starting off, I had a mentor who was a DJ by the name of T Dot Taylor, but we called him T Dot. And at one party, we always shared a love for music and everything. Told him about my interest for DJing. And at one party, he let me get on the turntables. And when I tell you, my heart started fluttering. It was just like, oh my God, I can do this in the sanctity of my own home because there's no judgmental eyes. But ladies and gents, I got behind those turntables, played one song, it was great. Played another song. And when I tell you this, there was a group full of girls just sitting there looking like that. And they turned and they gave me the look like, what is he doing? Like, what? Get him off. Boo. And they started boo. Oh, it felt so terrible. And that was my first time DJing in public, and it scarred me. I didn't touch a turn or set of turntables for at least 2 or 3 months after that. But you get over that and you understand the importance of curation and song selection. It can make you or break you. We also talk about reading the crowd and understanding the audience's mood, their energy level, music preferences. You don't want to go to a venue that's solely based on country music playing trap music. You don't want to go to a venue that's solely based on a gospel playing the Temptations and a whole bunch of other types of music, if you will. So you got to know exactly who you're playing for and what to play around them, okay? Then you've also got creating a unique and artistic experience for the audience. What I like to say when we talk about DJs is we do more than just play records. We provide the soundtrack to the evening. If it's a global event, it's a corporate event, if it's a wedding, like I just had the pleasure of DJing one in Chicago this past weekend, you have to come ready. You have to read the room. You have to understand exactly what's going on and what the atmosphere calls for. So shout out to the DJ, the disc jockey for representing in a major way. One very, very, very important DJ that had a significant impact on hip hop as a whole is Pete DJ Jones, straight from Raleigh, North Carolina, Oak City, the 919, who moved to New York to pursue what he originally wanted to do was playing basketball. So he pursued his basketball career, but unfortunately, some things didn't work out for him, and he actually began hosting and DJing disco parties in the city. He's an influencer of the merry-go-round technique.
So we started playing to stretch out music. Sometimes we play a record at the beginning, in the middle, start it over again, play it at the end until they get tired of it, and then you come with the next record.
Keeping the crowd's energy hype becomes easy at this point because the 12-inch record is introduced with longer break parts. The DJs are able to extend the record, and songs are manipulated and mixed in various ways.
And immediately they came out with a whole instrumental side and longer beats, longer break parts in the middle.
It was a big album that spent at 45 speed.
Basically, Pete is talking about in this video his influence on hip hop, how he went up north to go ahead and talk about, like I said, basketball before, but ended up being engulfed in this genre that he went ahead and took back home. Now, while he was there, like I said, he began DJing disco parties in the city, and he was actually the influencer of what we call the merry-go-round technique. So, which is where you have one beat over here and a beat over here, and you just keep on looping that bad boy back and forth, which is known as the break. The best part, arguably, of the entire song. Okay. So shout out to Pete DJ Jones, because if it weren't for the merry-go-round, you probably would have at least, there's no telling if it would ever even been invented, but it definitely would have taken quite some time. You feel me? But ladies and gentlemen, we're going to move on to the next slide, Amber, where we're talking about college radio. Now, this is something that is so significant when it comes to the spread of music. You have, like, personally, I'll say the Wiz Khalifa and Currency and Mac Miller era. For those of you who are familiar with those artists, when I was in college, That's how I found out about them. You have the radio station that's playing them. You have people coming from different areas all to this one hub, which is a school. Mine was Wright State University back in Ohio, also known as Wright State. Wrong school, but that's a different story. Don't judge me. We made it through. But college radio is very influential, especially when it comes to the spread. But here in the great state of North Carolina, it got so serious in the 2000s, which we sometimes refer to as the golden era. Now, during this golden era in the 2000s college radio, you had a lot of different stations in North Carolina, more specifically, a team at Central known as the Butter Team, who were going ahead and putting on 4 different artists here in the great state of NC. You also had DJ Samps over at Duke, who was doing his thing, and at NC State, rounding off the triangle, or edging off the triangle, rather, you had DJ Resident. Now, they also had these things that were called Microphone Mondays, where they would play different artists, have them go ahead and spit some bars, give them some publicity, might even get them an interview. You never know, which is kind of like what we have that should come back if it has already ended. Ciphers. My goodness, the ciphers at NC State campus have been phenomenal. That's actually one of the things that introduced me to hip hop here in North Carolina, where there a cipher every Monday evening at NC State's campus at the Freedom Expression Tunnel. You know, the tunnel with all the graffiti and everything around it. They would have ciphers and battles, and it was just, oh, it was a hip hop lover's dream, I tell you what. But ladies and gents, shout out to the good folks over at College Radio for spreading this genre in this state like a virus. You have the Battle of the Liquid Swords, which was Jay Gunn versus Fonte of Little Brother, which is arguably one of the greatest battles in North Carolinian hip hop history. Shout out to Little Brother. We salute you. Without you, this state would not be the same. The state of hip hop would not be the same. And we'll go ahead and move on to the next slide, which is going to talk about one significant DJ who's actually here in the great state of NC, who's from Charleston originally, but he goes by the name of Chuck T. He's doing great things for hip hop here in the great state of North Carolina. He's got at least 20 years in the business, in the music industry, still actively DJs and breaks records. He founded what's known as the Foundation of Music, which helps aspiring artists learn the music business. And he recently signed with the Charlotte Hornets to organize and host the NBA's first ever music industry night. Now, folks, I had the pleasure of attending one of these music industry nights in Charlotte, and it was mind-blowing. If you love hip hop, if you love networking, if you just love being around artists, being around people who are in the business, in the industry, then this is the event for you. There's a charge for some people, and it's like media credentials and all that other stuff, but it's all on his website. You can check it out to see when the next one is. But Chuck T is one of those people who thinks about scaling up when it comes to the genre as a whole and the business side as well. Because we all know there's 2 sides to this thing. It's the music business. And this is one gentleman who is heavy on the latter, heavy on the business for sure. So shout out to Chuck T. We salute you, and other DJs like him here in the great state of North Carolina. Now, Amber, if we move on to the next one, this is what we're going to get serious, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about the MCs, all right? The masters of the ceremony, the people behind the MIC. And if you look on the screen, you'll see 5 greats that are from North Carolina, including Tusi. You've got G. Yamazawa. You got Moray. You've got Mez, you've got Rhapsody, you've got, oh my goodness, the list is endless. Jay Gunn, just keeps on going. DaBaby, my good Tia Corinne, and I can just keep on going for days and days, honestly. But ladies and gentlemen, we've got so many talented people here in the great state of North Carolina that are perfect when it comes to the art of storytelling. Now, if we move on to the next one, you'll see a clip that is printed out of a newspaper that's talking about Yag Fu Front, all right? And this is a group of gentlemen who put North Carolina on the map in the 90s. This is a time where you got people like EPMD, you got Chuck D, you got Public Enemy, you got Tribe, you've got all of these different variations of hip hop that are floating around, and it's Northeast heavy, it's Northeast focused, it's New York focused, it's centric. But here in the great state of NC, you got MCs out here putting in work, something that you wouldn't even think about. But what Andre 3000 say? Hey, the South got something to say. We definitely do. But ladies and gentlemen, shout out to the storytellers who were behind the MIC during this time. The art of storytelling. An artist structure their stories with a beginning, a middle, and an end. The faces that you see right behind this headline, which would be J. Cole, Queen Rhapsody, who was just actually here about 24 hours ago promoting her album, Please Don't Cry. Wonderful young woman, incredible queen, incredible album. Go check it out when you get a chance. I love you, rap. But you've got Rhapsody, you've got J. Cole, you got Joyner Lucas, Eminem, and a few others that are blocked by the article there. But these people have a knack for telling you exactly what's going on, giving you a feeling, painting that picture, if you will, which is it evokes emotion as well, which a lot of artists are not doing so much. It's kind of hit and miss nowadays. I'm not going to judge on generations or anything like that. It's just facts. We're missing a lot of emotion in hip hop as of now. But ladies and gentlemen, we move on to talk about wordplay, which that guy right there in the middle with the prayer hands, he knows or goes by the name of Slim Shady or Eminem, a beast with. Wordplay techniques, including puns, metaphors, similes, alliterations, and double entendres are all skills that can take an MC's game to a whole nother level. You hear what I'm saying? You can be basic, you can be a mumble rapper, you can be a bubblegum rapper, but once you start to add in, like we say, puns, metaphors, similes, alliterations, things like that, you turn into a dangerous, dangerous monster with that pen. Yeah, understand. But one dangerous monster with that pen, we'll go to the next slide, is the great, I'm talking about the great MC Sha Rock, representing Wilmington, North Carolina, who is the first female MC in hip hop history. Started off as a B-girl, which is a dancer, which is, like I said before, I break every single bone in my body if I try to do a little whirl or spin or anything like that. So shout out to all the B-boys and the B-girls. But she became a member of the Funky 4+1 iconic group. And from there, she blessed the mic and turned into the mother of the MIC. We'll go ahead and make sure that we get these videos for you so you can click on the links later so you can go ahead and check them out. But yeah, it's just Sha Rock doing her thing. She went on to inspire different artists, including Rhapsody, North Carolina's very own. Shout out to the 252. Femcs, female MCs, women MCs, oftentimes looked over. As of recent, they've been exploding all over the industry, which is great. But we've always had those dope MCs who have always been there. So it's great that everyone's putting them on the front stage, but we've always had dope female MCs. Missy Elliott, Lauryn Hill, I put Erykah Badu in there. Like we said, Sha Rock, Queen Latifah, MC Lyte, the list just keeps on going and going. Shout out to Lil Kim. Can't forget Kim, you feel me? Yes, Indy ain't that right guy. Can't forget Kim. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to go ahead and move on to our next slide where we're going to talk about one lyricist here in Durham, North Carolina, our own backyard, who's dangerous with the pen as well. Now, this kid goes by the name of G. Yamazawa, and he has put North Carolina on a different plane, especially when it comes to writing. He was entered into the National Poetry Slam, and he was a finalist in that competition. You got a two-time Southern Fried champion. He's also a two-time individual World Poetry Slam finalist. And last but not least, he ranked second at the Ontario International Poetry Slam. I highlight G. Yamazawa because one of his tenacity, he has not stopped with his pen since he began. And it's transferred from poetry into artistry and into rap. And a lot of times when you try to go ahead and make those transitions, it gets a little iffy, if you will. Some people can't really translate and make the same impact on these different fields or these different levels of artistry. But G. Yamazawa was able to do that successfully. Still an artist out here doing his thing. He's traveling back and forth from his home country, and he's been able to connect the Asian diaspora with hip hop in a major way. So much so that he has different foundations that he does to help out or try to solidify that connection as well. So he's a great dude. Definitely check him out when you get a chance. Let's go ahead and move on to Dreamville Fest. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you're an artist, like we said, who's putting in the different styles of wordplay, who understands the music and the business, who understands what's going on, who's tied in with the community, and who has a vision, you can create what's known as your own festival. And this is exactly what Jermaine Cole did. Yep, Fayetteville's very own J. Cole went ahead and put together Dreamville Fest that started back in the late 2010s. Seen a couple of bumps. We've been through hurricanes delays. We've been through COVID-19 delays. But here we are in 2024, and I've got to update this one to the most recent year. But as of 2023, it was able to garner $7.8 million into North Carolina as a whole. Now, it currently hosts over 80,000 people at this 2-day event. It started off as 1 day. I had the pleasure of being able to go to the first one, which was mind-blowing. It was mind-blowing. It was a life-changing experience, and you could see exactly what it was going to turn into during that first one. Now, ladies and gentlemen, the beauty of a Dreamville Fest is one that J. Cole is one that highlights all of his artists. A lot of his artists have ties to North Carolina. Some are from North Carolina. Some, like Ari Lennox, even lived in North Carolina for quite some time. But he does a beautiful rendition of basically just bringing out his favorite artists, curating a dope vibe like we talked about before with the DJs, and bringing money and boosting the economy in the area here. Now, ladies and gentlemen, it's definitely going to break $10 million. Definitely going to break 20, definitely going to break 30 if he just keeps on going. I personally feel like it might move to a couple of different cities just to take it on the road. But hey, if we keep it in Raleigh, that's all the better for Oak City as a whole. So shout out to Jermaine Cole, shout out to J. Cole, Dreamville as a whole. We hope for nothing but the best for Dreamville Festival. And once again, North Carolina. Come on now. This is what we do here. We're a state full of greats, a state full of greatness. And that's exactly what J. Cole is going ahead and boosting for us. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll go on to the next slide. And this one here, we're going to change or switch gears, if you will. Going from the DJ, which was our pillar number 1, to our MC, which was our pillar number 2. And now it's our breakers, pillar number 3. It's the art of dance. My goodness, my goodness. The people that you see on the backside of that clip are members of the Rocksteady crew, which was one of the biggest crews in New York that were a mixture of Black and brown individuals who sought to just, like I told you before, I can't do it, so I'm not even gonna try to look like a fool in front of everybody, but they just got the pop in, lock in, tutting, all that. It's just, it just looks so dope when you see it, but you try it and it might just be a little different. But shout out to all of the breakers, the B-boys. It's an artistic expression through dance that just can't be really defined. I don't know who was the first person to go ahead and think about spinning on their head, or this is what hip hop makes you do. You feel like moving, and to move like that, very impressive, very impressive. So on the next slide, it actually gives us a brief history on the on breaking as a whole. So you've got artistic expression like we talked about before. If you guys can remember the Michael Jackson video, remember Bad? Yeah, when they started off in the parking garage, tied each other up with the string or the handkerchief there and got the trying to stab, it was still dancing. But what I'm trying to get to is that it was a way to resolve conflicts as well, outside of fighting, outside of shooting or anything like that. Hey, man, if you got served, then hey, you got served. And that's all that was. You better come back next week bigger, better, and stronger and work on your triple bye-bye birdie and all that other stuff. But, but no, for real, though, it was definitely, and that's actually what I really wish that we could get back to. Instead of fighting, instead of cussing and arguing and spitting and fighting and shooting and all that stuff, get back to dancing. Let's do some break battles. That's how you should settle conflicts from here on out. That's my creed for 2024 going into next year. But shout out to the, like we said, the artistic expression of breaking. It's a wide range of movements from freezes and power moves to footwork and top rock, which is still evident to this day if you pay attention to areas like Memphis, Tennessee, where they've got their style of dance that literally is like an evolution of the original style of breaking. You travel overseas to places like Korea, Japan, any of the other our Asian brothers and sisters, and you'll see that they've adopted different styles of dance. And it's not just them; it's also South America, Central America. It's something that literally took over the world and is accompanied by hip hop. My goodness, all one in one. The storytelling aspect of the dance moves were serious as well. You could mimic a story or a character or move abstract, also symbolizing emotions or different concepts. People even went as far as bringing in costumes and props just to go ahead and emphasize exactly what they were trying to put across on that dance floor. Me, myself personally, I do wish that I was around. Like you got, I wish that I was here for it because I would have been. But not, could you imagine me in an Adidas tracksuit with the all whites on and the Kango on top like this right here with the gold chain? Huh. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how I would try to be. But unfortunately, man, it just didn't work out for me like that. I gotta live in 20 or the past. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, love what's going on with breaking. The history of it is phenomenal. And if we move on to the next slide, we'll actually see what's called the evolution of dance. And this is starting off from the 70s. Doesn't really need any audio on this one. It's more of a visual type of deal. So it's just going to take you through exactly what's been going on, all right, and how we've evolved when it comes to moving our bodies. Because if you can all remember, music, dancing goes hand in hand. I dare you to listen to a Luther Vandross and try not to dance. I dare you to listen to a Whitney Houston. I just want to dance with somebody and not dance. Like it's just impossible. Some things just move your body. You hear what I'm saying? So we've got these wonderful, wonderful demonstrations going on from the 70s all the way up to the 90s, where it just seems like it's getting more and more physical. But it's incredible expression. You got America's Best Dance Crew that snuck in there, different competitions that sneak in there as well. TikTok, which is taken over by storm, where you've got dancers up there. That's one of the more popular hashtags, if you will, is dancing on TikTok. And then you've also got different formations that are popping up as well. So it gets really serious when it comes to this dance thing, ladies and gents. I don't know, man. Y'all let me know in the chat or save it for after we're finished here. Let me know if you could top rock, if you could dance, because we might have to get you out here at Choice FM, put the cardboard on the floor, and let you get to work. You know what I'm saying? But ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the next slide, Amber, we've got our own, very own, right here in North Carolina dance crew. And if you're unfamiliar with them, they're known as the Raleigh Rockers. Now, the Raleigh Rockers started back in 07 as a club at NC State. Shout out to the Wolfpack. They grew to include non-students eventually, so they were just inviting anybody who could get down on the dance floor to come join. They battled in competitions as well as exhibition matches just for fun to go ahead and make sure that they stay loose. They also judge other breakdancing competitions as well. And if you're interested, I know myself, I got to sign up for it, but they do teach classes for a mix of learning, rehearsing, and sharing their talent. These are three of the many members of the Raleigh Rockers right here in North Carolina. If you didn't know that we had our own crew here, now you do. This is what we do. And when I tell y'all North Carolina and hip hop, we're tied in. We're linked. This is it, man. This is what we do. But shout out to the Raleigh Rockers and shout out to all of the other dance crews out there. On to the next slide, we'll actually show love to a young woman who is from Burlington, North Carolina, who's just superseded. I'm talking about blew competition out the water. She goes by the name of Connie Kingston, and she's the number one. Let me slow that down. Number one ranked B girl in the USA in the youth category. So we are home to the number one B girl in the United States of America right here in North Carolina. Now, if you want to bring it out and go ahead and zoom out to the macro and talk about the world, Craig, the world, she's number 6 in the entire world. That's saying something. That's really, really saying something right there. Young Connie Kingston actually qualified for the Buenos Aires 2018 Summer Youth Olympic Games as well. If you are just now finding out that breaking is in the Olympic Games, that's okay. I found that out as well when I was doing my research. So we're on the same page. But man, my goodness, hopefully she'll be at the 2024s. We'll go ahead and check in with Connie is again to make sure that she's good. But when I tell y'all we've got talent here, there is no lie, no stretch of the imagination, no nothing. North Carolina is home to some great individuals, especially when it comes to hip hop. Now, folks, I'm going to take a sip and we'll transition. After all, this is Highballs in History. Shout out to North Carolina Museum of History for having me, the DOC, here to talk to you all about hip hop and the evolution of it and how it is intertwined with the great state of North Carolina. Now, if we move on to the next slide, we'll get into pillar number 4, which is graffiti. Yes, indeed, the art of tagging, the art of bombing, the art of expressing oneself through art. And if you all were paying attention to I guess the theme of this evening, it is all expression. DJing, the expression of yourself through the art of turntablism, through the art of song selection, through the art of curation, MCing, expressing yourself through the art of bars, through the art of lyrics, through the art of rapping and telling stories. Then we have dancing, expression of yourself through the art of physical movement, through the art of popping, locking, and all that good stuff. And now we have graffiti, an expression through literally art. So ladies and gentlemen, shout out to our taggers, our bombers, our graffiti artists. We love you. The next slide will tell us a little bit about the significance of graffiti as a whole. Now, it is a visual representation of the city, first and foremost, reflecting the voices and experiences of the people. The names that you see tagged across walls, the logos, the images, things like that are all specific to people and or their groups or their crews or their bomb name or their nickname or anything like that. And it kind of feels like you're leaving your label or leaving your mark on that area. You've got it transcending cultural and geographical boundaries, inspiring artists worldwide. Now you can probably go to any country around the world and see some graffiti somewhere in some way, shape, or form. Some people feel like it is an abomination. Some people feel like it is destroying the value of a certain area. Some people feel like it's just defacing property and is despicable. Others understand the true artistry behind it, that an artist might not necessarily be trying to be a menace, if you will, or be trying to take down the worth of a building, but they would just be trying to express themselves. They see a nice piece of concrete and they want to go ahead and throw some art on it. Now, you do have a difference between street art and graffiti. Street art is what is, I guess, more so accepted as of now, or nowadays, if you will. Shout out to Banksy and other artists like that who will try to turn a blank art can or a blank wall or a pothole even or a crack in the road into some piece of artistry. You've got different artist techniques, and we'll get into that a little bit more in just a bit. But you've got artist techniques and styles that are available as well. So for the experienced artists, you've got different nozzles and cans for effects. Like if you see shading, you'll see borders, you'll see fade, teardrops that look 100% real. Those who use fine lines, fades, blends, and controlling overspray. It's really, when I say this, a technique that is learned. Like I'm following a page on Instagram that teaches me how to do a graffiti letter every single day. I'm not good. I'm gonna keep it all the way 100 with you, ladies and gents. I'm not good at all, but I'm trying, and that's the big thing about it. You feel me? But we're getting there. It's always about practice. But like I say, shout out to artists like DJ Double Nice is great when it comes to graffiti. Lord Fly, you might be familiar with as well, is incredible when it comes to his artistry or expressing that through graffiti as well. So you might see a lot of his pieces, especially off of Fayetteville Street. And these are all, commissioned. So I'm not ratting him out or anything like that. But if you take a walk down Fayetteville Street, you might see his artwork in a couple of the shops down there. So be on the lookout for that. But ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to tagging, like I said, accepted some places and frowned upon in other places. There was a building in Florida this past year for the 50th anniversary of hip hop that commissioned different artists and different taggers and different bombers to each floor of its I think it was about 30 or 40 stories. So you would see a different tag on each floor, each level. And that, to me, I love when that happens, when people actually open the doors for artists to just go ahead and show their stuff. Here in Raleigh and Capitol Boulevard, you have a skate park. Shout out to Skate Raleigh, SK, the number 8 Raleigh, where they've opened up a couple of barriers that they just say, hey, artists come through. Graffiti it up, tag it up, express yourself. You get what I'm saying? So shout out to the people like that, as well as, if we go to the next slide, we can show love to NC State. Once again, shout out to the Wolfpack and what they call the Freedom Keyword Expression Tunnel. Come on now. Now, Carolina Graffiti, like we talked about, boasts graffiti from coast to coast. We're talking about from Wilmington over to Asheville. If you don't believe me, check out the River Arts District in Asheville when you get a chance. You will be stunned by the artistry that's going on out there, all over the triangle, including Durham. In Durham, there's several different areas that are open for street art and graffiti, including a parking garage right across the street from the DC Armory, or the Durham Armory, that is just full of artwork all over the walls. It's beautiful. You've got a farm scene painted on North Carolina's first microbrewery on the Outer Banks. Shout out to the OBX. And you got things that are often referred to as murals or street art, like we talked about before. But in NC, graffiti vandalism is a class 1 misdemeanor, which is on the same level as larceny and possession of stolen property and breaking or entering. Now, folks, you see what's on your screen right now. You got a Wu-Tang symbol, you got somebody named Merc, you got different lines, circles, colors, and all that. I ask you, just being a citizen, just being a North Carolinian, or wherever you are, an Ohioan, or wherever you're tapping in from, a New Yorkian, or I don't know, are they called New Yorkian? New Yorkites? I don't know. But wherever you're tapping in from, do you think that graffiti is equivalent to larceny and possession of stolen property, or B&E, breaking and entering? You think a spray paint or a spray can on the side of a wall is equal to breaking and entering into someone's home? I don't. But that's just me, though. Y'all let me know. But shout out to the people who are still tagging. We'll hopefully get that gone ahead and dropped, because that's just ridiculous to me. It's, once again, expression through art. And like we said, shout out to the Free Expression Tunnel, which is in North Carolina State University's campus. They allow artists to come through and spray paint and tag up. It's about, I'd say about 50 to 80 feet worth of tunneling that you can just go ahead, and I'm talking about from the floor to the ceiling, ladies and gents, and the wall. You can see it right there on your screen. From the beginning of the tunnel all the way to the end, the lights that even cover the tunnel, the whole nine. So it's great to have areas where people can express themselves. We'll stay with the Freedom Expression Tunnel and head to our next slide, where we'll talk about what we mentioned briefly before, which was the NC State ciphers. Now, keep in mind, ladies and gents, we're talking about hip hop and how it is directly correlated to North Carolina. This is one of the many babies that hip hop has birthed here in North Carolina. It's the NC State Cipher. Used to be every Monday around 10 p.m. at the same exact place we just spoke about, the Freedom Expression Tunnel, where you would have different guests. Like I remember running into people who were signed to Jamla Records. Shout out to Ninth Wonder and Rhapsody and GQ and Heather, Victoria, friends and family members of the station here in Choice FM. But I remember running into people like Caesar Comanche, running into these individuals at this this wonderful dais of artists who were just either beatboxing or playing beats off of their pill, or freestyle and using written bars, poetry, spoken word. It was just a meeting of the minds. And it's something that I feel like is so detrimental to this artistry as a whole, that we have to make sure that it is present everywhere, not just on NC State's campus, but could you imagine if every single campus had something like this? Oh my goodness, we wouldn't starve for talent ever. But this is a place where you would find underground legends, you would forge relationships, you would be introduced to people who might even live in the same apartment complex as you, that you had absolutely no idea were even artists. But it's an incredible feeling, an incredible setting, incredible area that I really do hope that we can bring back ASAP. But ladies and gentlemen, that is our NC State Cipher. Used to be hosted at the NC State's campus. And we'll go ahead and move on to the next after I take my sip here. Got to wet the whistle. After all, this is Highballs and History. Ladies and gentlemen, here with me, the DOC. We're coming up on about 7:45 my time, and we've got the history of North Carolina hip hop as a whole. We spoke about the introduction of hip hop, the birthing of it as a whole, celebrating its 50th year, its 50th anniversary, where at times, if I can be candid with you, I feel like we're family now. I feel like we are. I can tell you the truth. I feel like sometimes they're trying to put a bow and a ribbon on this genre as a whole. Happy 50th anniversary. All right, you're out of here. Go ahead and wrap it up and let's get on to the next one. That's just the feeling that I've had before. And that was before It's Kendrick and Lamar and Drake beef. Now we could talk about that for a little bit, but I feel like we beat that horse dead, or that dead horse already. But you have different insurgencies that'll go ahead and reinvigorate the game or reinvigorate what's going on. So being that we just saw that, and we have different artists who are now coming out and releasing songs and albums that are strictly lyrical. We've gotten a resurgence of the West Coast through Snoop Dogg and the West Side Connection, and then we've got artists like Rakim, who's now releasing new music, as well as Nas, Method Man, Busta Rhymes. So all of these artists whom we thought originally, because we thought it was a young man's game, and we didn't want to hear from our OGs, as we like to call them, they're now comfortable and in spaces to where they are still here, they're still relevant, and that lets me know confidently that this genre that I've fallen in love with since birth, since Nothing But a G Thing was playing on my grandmother's television in Cleveland, Ohio. You get what I'm saying? Like, since then, it's still here and it will still keep on going. So shout out to the new artists that are coming out. Shout out to the current artists who are still releasing music, and the artists of yesteryear who are releasing new music now. They're turning into a different genre or a different subgenre of hip hop, giving us that mature rap. For example, Jay-Z, 444, a very, very mature rap album that let us know that there's a life after all the fast cars and the money and the girls and all that young rock star lifestyle. You can get to a point to where you're a grown up, you're a grown man, you're making decisions that impact others. You understand your worth, your value, where you're coming from, and that's something that just warms my heart. So, folks, having said all of that, we've gone over, like I said, the DJ, the four pillars of hip hop, starting with the DJ, the disc jockey, the one responsible for bringing the sounds or the soundtrack for the party or the event or the evening, whatever it is. Then we got the MC, the master of ceremonies, the person on the MIC tearing it down, announcing birthdays, shouting people out, coming up with different hooks, doing the whole cool thing, man. I'm talking about just rocking the party. Then you got the breakers, the entertainers who don't even have to say a word. They don't have to speak one single syllable, and you are thoroughly entertained. They feel the beat. They express themselves through the art of dance. And last but not least, the graffiti artists. Yes, indeed, the taggers, the bombers. Once again, the silent heroes who will let you know exactly how they're feeling or what's going on through art on wall. You get what I'm saying? Ladies and gentlemen, those are our four pillars of hip hop. The fifth pillar that some people would argue about is knowledge. We won't get into that one just yet because that's a whole nother hour that we got to talk about, right, guy? A whole nother hour if we get into knowledge part. But ladies and gents, if we go on to the last slide, Amber, I've got my contact information, a little bit more information about me as well. So if you guys wanted to reach out, you definitely could, okay? Like I said, my name is Damon Doc Johnson. I go by Doc. I'm here on Choice FM 9210 here in the great state of North Carolina, Raleigh specifically, and we do also service everywhere from Cary all the way to Eastern North Carolina. My email address, choicefmdoc@gmail.com. We're always looking for new artists, so if yourself are a producer or an artist, if you know of any, please feel free, send me an email, let me know, hey, man, I've got this song that I really think is the one and should be heard on the radio. Go ahead and send that to me. Let me know what's going on. Facebook, Damon Doc Johnson. Instagram at what's up, WASUP_DOC. Twitter at The Documentary Show. Now, a side note, The Documentary Show is a podcast that I'm working on that's going to center on artists. We're talking about business. We're talking about comedians. We're talking about managers, DJs, MCs, what we did, the four pillars that we just spoke of. But the difference between my show is I don't really care about the gossip, the quote unquote, the tea, all of that extra stuff, who you're sleeping with, any of that. I could care less. Tell me about your journey. What got you to the point that you're at? What inspires you? What wakes you up in the morning? What keeps you up at night? Let's talk about real human things. So that's The Documentary Show. Happens usually every week. I'm working on being more consistent with that ASAP. But I feel like now, ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of my presentation, once again, I appreciate you for rocking with me for the past, about 45, 50 minutes as we talked about the significance of hip hop, especially here in the great state of North Carolina, and how it took shape in in NC. I feel like Amber, Stacy, it's a good time to go ahead and open up for questions if that's okay. But while we're doing that, like we said, got the contact info, all that good stuff. Once again, thank you all for joining me. This is fun. This is my first virtual one, and I don't know. I think we did okay. I feel good.
Yeah, I think you did great. I'm Allie. I'm one of the interns here at the museum, and I'll be helping do the question portion going up on here. We got a couple questions popping up in the chat right now.
All right. Shout out to the iPhone SE. Thank you so much for excellent presentation. In your opinion, is making hip hop the contemporary and the new music or new universal language of culture between nations and people? Is there an NC database of hip hop artists? Thank you so much. Starting with the last question, the NC database of hip hop artists, the closest one that I can think of would be actually Home Jams. So we have a website. If you go to ilovechoicefm.com/home-jams, we have about 30 or 40 pages worth of artists who are here in North Carolina, actually, and South Carolina, whom are producers. You've got musicians, you've got artists. I'm talking like country, R&B, soul, even funk. We've even got like some kid submissions that are in there that'll be seen as well. So it's ilovechoicefm.com/home-jams. On the global side of things, I don't think that we have a database as of yet outside of like a Google search or something like that to see who's from North Carolina. But the second part of the question is hip hop contemporary, new music language, culture between nations and people. So with what's making hip hop that contemporary side is its relatability. This is probably one of the more relatable genres that you have that's going to be out here. This is one that no matter who you are or how you are as a person, there's going to be an artist, there's going to be a song, there's going to be a bar, some lyrics that are going to be for you. And oddly enough, if there aren't any, you can actually be that artist, which is crazy about it, because it's like kind of like the wild, wild west in a sense, especially with the, and we didn't get into the technology side of it, including like AI and home studios and things of that sort. But there's so many different factors or different additions that can turn you into an artist, or turn someone else into an artist. So I think it's outside of being an easy genre to get into, it's not easy to stay. Like you can come in, but you might not stay too long. But it's definitely one of those genres that you can just kind of walk into and find something that you love. It's like a department store, pretty much. You can go in, get exactly what you're looking for, have a good time, and get on out. So it's definitely a loving genre. We also saw Amber at the top. Oh yeah, God corrected me, let me know that we're called New Yorkers. Thank you very much for that. For sure. Let's see. Are the producers considered the gatekeepers to early hip hop? The producers, my goodness, where would we be without them? That's a tough one, and that's a great question. Who is that? From Sharon? Definitely a great question. I would argue that they could have been in early times because these were the people that you kind of had to go through to get that sound or get that flavor that was necessary in order to break you through to bigger artists or a bigger label, if you will. But I would say that the label heads in the beginning were the gatekeepers. Those were the real gatekeepers. Because you had at one point in time where Black music wasn't on TV. There was a time where artists who were Black they didn't even put their faces on front of records because they wouldn't get sold. People wouldn't buy them. They'd look at them and be like, oh, it's a Black guy did this song. Oh my, the Black guy made September. I don't know. No, I'm good. So it was like a whole completely different time to where like the labels controlled what was coming out. Now, luckily, you have a point in time to where it's legit up to the artist. There's a whole wave of artists saying, look, I want to be independent. I don't want to have anyone looking over my shoulder or anyone to answer to or nothing like that. I'll be an independent artist. I'll make my music. I'll distribute my own music. I'll get my own publishing, so on and so forth. So it's a nice wave that's coming up and that's happening now. It feels a lot different, and I love the fact that we're kind of turning into our own gatekeepers here in the industry. So it feels very good, and I'm here for it 100%. And I think that was a great question. So I appreciate you sharing. He got a comment From God, who says, as an English teacher, love the reference to literacy devices and techniques like alliteration, similes, metaphors, and imagery as well. And indeed, the Bahamadia. Let's go, sweet tea. Okay, I like. Hey, God, Amber. God knows what he's talking about right there for sure. For sure, for sure. Follow many migrate, and I'm just reading through the chat here as we wrap this thing up. That follow many migration patterns. Most northern Black people have ancestral roots in the South. You are completely correct. After the Great Migration, my goodness, it was tough to find anyone that lived in the North who wasn't from the South or who didn't know anyone from the South. Like I said, I come from Cleveland, Ohio, and I couldn't tell you how many people I knew who were friends or classmates that were going to North Carolina for the summer to hang out with their family, or going down to Louisiana, or going down to Alabama or something like that. Places I'd never even heard of at all. But I'm here now and I'm loving it. I am now one of those Midwesterners who is connected to the South. And I thank every single one of you for hanging out, for being a part of this first wave of highballs in history with me, the DOC, talking about North Carolina and music and hip hop and how it took shape in this great state. Thank you very much, Amber. I appreciate you, Stacy. I appreciate you, North Carolina Museum of History. I salute you. I salute you. For sure, for sure. Now, ladies, it's all on you.
All right.
Thank you so much, Allie. Thank you so much, Doc, for being with us this evening and coming back and hanging out with us and sharing this information. It was so amazing when we got to spend time with you in January, and tonight was just amazing as well. So thank you so much. I know you can't hear me, but just want to say thank you anyway. And thank you to all those of you who joined us this evening. We hope that you enjoyed the program, and we hope that we will see you all soon. Take care and have a lovely evening. Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.